Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Three Amigos podcast. Just two amigos here today, Chris and Anthony. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? Happy, not so happy Monday, depending how you're feeling today.
Happy Monday. And we are here with a bit of a breaking news episode of the Three Amigos podcast because PlayStation just announced some of the games coming to their version of Game Pass, basically, is what it is. They're calling it PlayStation Extra and then PlayStation Premium. But we'll just call it PlayStation Game Pass. That's just such a good name.
Oh, Play Pass.
Yeah, I guess that's an option. I look, Game Pass is it's a great name. It's a great service. But Sony is going to try their best to copy it just a little bit. And today they announced some of the games coming to the service, which launches in America not for another few weeks, but it does come out in Japan in 2 weeks, I believe. So they'll get to test it out first. And yeah, Anthony, you have a PlayStation 4 Pro. Do you still have PlayStation Plus?
No.
Okay. So yeah, Anthony is here, I guess, just as moral support. When was the last time you played a PlayStation game? Just out of curiosity.
A couple weeks ago, I played Spider-Man.
All right, 2 weeks ago. That's great. When was the last time you played Xbox?
I'm playing it now.
Yeah. Okay. Why are you here again? Just curious. Just asking for the fans.
Because I own a PlayStation and I need a reason to go back. Well, number one, I don't have a PS5, so like I don't really want to play my PS4 Pro anymore. There's nothing new on there for me to play. So like I want to be part of the discussion. And hey, you can compare it with what experiences you might have with this compared to my experience with Game Pass.
Yes. So I had a lot of stuff I wanted to get to here. But one of the first impressions I had from this list of games, which we should mention, and we're not going to go over every single game because there's a lot of them here. There are a few that stand out, but this is not everything. They are holding a few games back that I assume they'll probably announce in the next couple weeks just to kind of hype subscriptions. So, don't be surprised if certain larger games that have not been announced yet suddenly pop up as part of this subscription service. My immediate impression is that this is way better than I was expecting it to be. I had kind of low expectations. I wasn't really planning on signing up right away. I mean, I have my regular PlayStation Plus, I think, for like another year. So I was just gonna kind of rock with that for a bit. But after seeing this list, and especially PlayStation bringing in Ubisoft Plus, which I forgot existed in the first place, but it's actually going to be pretty cool because I think Ubisoft is a terrible publisher, but has a lot of really talented developers under them. It's going to be cool to see some of those games. So yeah, from the perspective of a PlayStation 5 owner / somebody who has been on the other side of the fence, I have been the SpongeBob Squidward in his house meme while SpongeBob and Patrick run around outside having fun playing Game Pass. That's been PlayStation owners this whole time. And like, as a PlayStation owner, I have always thought Game Pass was such a phenomenal idea, such a phenomenal service, fully behind it. I think it's probably the direction that a lot of this is going. And for years, we have been wondering, why don't other companies just copy this? Like, aside from the greed factor of like not making the sales on like physical and full price games when they come out, like just copy the subscription. So it's coming. Sony is basically going to try to copy it. And as a PlayStation owner, it's pretty exciting. I want to start with the, I guess, negative, because I do think this is not without, maybe some potential hiccups here. The main one is that if you've owned a PlayStation for, I don't know, maybe the last few years, at least right now, there's not that much on here that you have not played or have not had the chance to play. A lot of the games listed have either been given away through the regular PlayStation Plus monthly games, or they've been on PlayStation Now, which again, I think is another service people just forgot existed. PlayStation's basically had like a Game Pass type thing for a while. They're just really bad at marketing it. So a lot of these launch games are them combining the two services. So the PS5 collection that they have on there and PlayStation Now. That being said, unless you don't have a life and literally all you do all day is play video games, there are still things on here that you probably have not gotten a chance to play yet. Probably pretty big games as well. One of the ones that sticks out immediately is Demon Souls PlayStation 5. That's pretty exciting. I was pretty excited to see what PlayStation 5 exclusives would land on this list. So that's really good to see. There are the infamous game, God of War Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, which is pretty exciting. Both Marvel Spider-Man games, Last of Us Remastered DLC. All of the Uncharted games are coming to this. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Batman Arkham Knight, Dead Cells, Far Cry 3 and 4, Hollow Knight, Mortal Kombat 11. I was kind of surprised to see that on here, the PS4 and PS5 versions. Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, NBA 2K22, Red Dead 2. That's pretty big. South Park Fractured Butthole, The Crew 2, which I was literally about to buy, and then that's going to be coming here for free. So that's pretty exciting. Same with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I was on the fence about buying it, but now that it's going to be free, that's pretty exciting. Now, I wanted to ask you from a Game Pass owner. So you'd have to kind of think back a few years, because if you're going to compare this to the current version of Game Pass, that is an unfair comparison. You need to be compared. People are going to compare. If we're going to stoke the wars, stoke the flames of the fanboy wars, they've got to compare the launch lineup here to Game Pass from a few years ago. So Anthony, as a Game Pass owner, what is it that makes it so special to you?
So I think honestly, I don't really have the only reason why I have it, the real reason why I think I have it is because for what you pay for, you get the online included. I think they still have online separate for like $10. So for $5 more, you get the Game Pass components of it. And when it comes to the games on Game Pass, I don't even know what's on there that I'm currently playing. Like I played Guardians of the Galaxy because I was on Game Pass. Mortal Kombat 11, I believe I paid for it, even though it's now on Game Pass. But I think the benefits of it is you don't want to buy a game that doesn't, meet your expectations, and then you lose money. But the problem with that is you may not have that situation happen all the time. It's, any new release that comes out on Game Pass is typically exclusives. And I think that it's cool that these companies are putting their exclusives on for day one on these subscription services. But if these companies don't have enough exclusives, then there's not much being put in terms of the exclusives on the Game Pass or the PlayStation 1. Like for me, playing Forza day one without buying it was great. Even though I deleted it because I got bored of it. Playing Halo, for me, Game Pass was able to allow me to play Halo 1 through 5, try to get through them, and then play Infinite. Even though I'm honestly not really a fan of the franchise, even to this day. The real benefit only for me is that I can try some games, and if I like it, cool. If not, it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was looking at the list of games, and I think, I got to be honest, I was pretty skeptical of like, I kind of thought PlayStation was going to fumble this entire thing. And so far, based on the list, aside from the fact that I have played or own most of the games on there, I haven't played or I don't own all of them. So there is still going to be some value, even to people who have either had a PS5 for a while now, been lucky enough to get one, or who have just been in the PlayStation ecosystem for a bit. One of the things that I had been thinking about as I was reading through the list of games so far, and we should say that there's going to be, I believe, about a combined 400 PS4 and PS5 games, not all at launch. Those are just, coming out over the next several months. Every month they give 2 new games. And then for those in the premium tier, it's going to be every 2 weeks. There'll be an extra game added in there, which is going to be interesting. I did see a lot of games that are on Game Pass also going to PlayStation's version of Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, like you just mentioned, that's a pretty big differentiating factor, at least for the next couple of years, till Microsoft figures out all these new studios they acquired, is there's a massive gap between the two companies on exclusive games. For example, Xbox doesn't have a single exclusive game coming out for the rest of the year, which is insane because it's May. That is just an insane thing. We had to say the same thing last year when they canceled Halo. They launched a new system with no exclusive games. Kind of crazy. PlayStation doesn't have that problem. They have a lot of exclusive games. The problem they have is that they don't want to give them away for free because their exclusive games are usually big, expensive, Hollywood blockbuster type, like games that take 5 years to make. And they've talked about how if they put them up on a subscription service, and this might change because Xbox didn't always used to do this either, but if they put them up on a subscription service, they won't make enough of the money back. They won't be able to invest as much into future projects. That being said, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut didn't even come out a year ago. So it's pretty surprising. I mean, I feel kind of the same way about like Ratchet and Clank and Returnal. Like, I wasn't expecting those games to pop up. Like, I kind of thought, whatever the most recent Little Big Planet, like Sackboy game that's like always on sale for $30. I was like, yeah, that'll probably show up. Or like some of these like lower end PS5 games. So to see those at launch is interesting. What I wanted to ask you, because whenever something like this comes up, I don't really care too much about the launch stuff because that kind of is what it is. Like, it'll change over the next 3 months. This service will look completely different than it does right now. Is the future that this is going to bring about between these two companies? Because in the past, Sony has kind of shifted some of their game plan to time exclusivity. So in the case of a game like Final Fantasy VII, which was supposed to be a timed exclusive for 2 years, that game is like 3 or 4 years old now. Still not on Xbox, still not on Game Pass. If you own an Xbox, you can't play it, which sucks because it's a fun game. I wanted to ask, what do you think about, is this going, what's the impact on Game Pass potentially going to be here? Because it's not crazy to think that these two companies might start trying to outspend each other, and all of a sudden things inadvertently or like accidentally become exclusive, where it's like Xbox spent extra money to bring game X onto Game Pass, which means they didn't have enough money to outbid PlayStation to put this game on their Game Pass copycat. What do you see happening between these two companies now that they're each going to have pretty good value subscription services?
So the first thing you mentioned, the PlayStation 1 is going to have different tiers that you can pay for.
Yeah, 3 tiers. The first tier is for like current subscribers, nothing's going to change. 2 free games a month, all that. Second tier, 400 PS4, PS5 games, in addition to, the usual free ones. And then the third tier, which I guess is worth mentioning, even though they haven't gone too deep into it now, is that's going to have PS2, 3, PSP, PS4, and PS5 games. The PS3 games will be streaming, which is super lame. And the other ones, I think also PlayStation 1. Don't quote me on that. Those will be, you'll be able to play them. They'll also be enhanced, which is kind of cool. So it's not like you'll be playing the build that was made 30 years ago. They're going to be able to like update the graphics to 1080 and all that. But yeah, they have 3 tiers.
So here's my problem with that. I'm gonna start with that one, right? Game Pass is one price, unless you pay like by 3 months, and you get next gen games and Xbox One games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it is unfortunate that with Game Pass, as far as I can see, I think there's some 360 games, but there's no like regular Xbox games, and there's not many 360 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not at least you're not paying an extra price for another feature or two, right? With all these old games being available, Nintendo has the NES, the Super Nintendo available thing. Do people really want to play these old games again? Some of them maybe, but all of them probably not. But the fact that Sony wants to charge you different tiers to make more money out of you, it's kind of crappy, especially if they don't let you. I don't know if I'm assuming they're gonna let you download the games on your console, because I know PS Now you couldn't download it; it was streaming only.
No. PlayStation Now had some games that you could download, some games that were streaming only.
Okay, I know when it first came out, it was streaming only everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now with these, because you mentioned the Ubisoft, what's it called? Ubisoft something?
Ubisoft Plus, which I forgot existed. I think
Yeah, I didn't know it
a lot of
existed
us
at
do.
all until recently. Someone sent me a
Yeah.
comment on my video. He said, "Oh, Ubisoft Plus is probably coming to Game Pass." I think it was a video showing that I bought like some Ubisoft games because I have like
Yeah.
three of them,
Yeah.
and so I was like, "Okay, I don't know what that is, but if it's coming to Game Pass, whatever." I bought Valhalla for 20. I bought, what was it? Watch Dogs for like 15, so whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
if these consoles are going forward with this subscription thing, then number one, they need to stop with the digital version and physical version consoles, just one console. And number two, they need to start shipping consoles with more hard drive storage inside, because you can't do a lot with a terabyte nowadays. Um, and
Seriously.
I think what they need to do, because I still have the S and I have the X, and I even had someone say to me, "Why are you gonna keep both? Why are you getting the X when you have an S?" I made a video about that. I'm not gonna get too much detail, but my S currently has a couple of co-op games that I can take with me and play with my brother or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think going forward in the next console generation, PS6 and Xbox, random name that we argued
I don't know.
over,
Just use numbers.
it's
Xbox. Just use
going
numbers.
to they're going to need to have number one, more hard drive space, and just say no more physical games, which that is going to put GameStop out of business completely, and that is going to have a heavy impact on other retailers like Best Buy and Walmart who do sell these games. So I don't know where they're planning to go in the future of this, with like, oh, we want to acquire Rockstar now on one side. Okay, you want Rockstar, we're gonna go take over I don't know what the companies that are major.
Square
Um
Enix.
Square Enix, yeah.
They're
I want
still
to take over
out
Square
there.
Enix.
Warner Brothers is still out
Um
there.
I
Yeah.
think and I think the problem here is like um some people like physical games, like they feel like they have. So someone asked me, he goes, "Why do I rather buy physical games over purchasing a digital game for like full price?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I buy a digital game for like $60, I don't feel like I'm getting some type of I don't know if it's like a value or a sentimental value. Like I like to have
Mm-hmm.
something physical to show what I spent my money on. If I buy Final Cut Pro for $300, for it's a software, it's like I spent $300 on something digital. Like I can't even like display it somewhere, or like touch it or whatever. Like
Yeah, it's not tangible. It's not
yeah.
tangible.
So I don't want to pay like I don't want all my games to be digital only, but we are facing a lazy generation where people just want to change from one game to the other. They don't want to get up and change disc.
that
I
whole quick
s-
resume feature is literally built in for that exact
yeah,
purpose,
like
to
I
like
sit
kill
next
the
to my
physical game
console.
market.
I sit next to my console. And I don't want to get up to change the disc, but like they have quick resume. They're gonna download it to the hard drive or SSD, whatever you want to call it. I I just hope that we don't. I mean, we're gonna see more of these. Like Microsoft acquired this company now. Like they acquired Bethesda and Activision Blizzard.
Mm.
Sony's gonna it's probably gonna acquire Square Enix, and if Sony acquires Ubisoft, holy shit, that's gonna be a big acquisition right there
That'd be the
because
best thing to ever happen to Ubisoft,
yeah.
because that, like, oh man, that company just needs like they need smarter people in, and also like Ubisoft's also a shitty company with a bunch of sexual harassment
Yeah.
things, but they also just need like smarter people running the company, because the devs usually come up with pretty interesting ideas, and then Ubisoft turns around and they're like, no more Assassin's Creed, no more Watch Dogs. Like, what the fuck
Yeah.
else do you guys even have?
Because like
uh,
I'm playing Watch Dogs Legion just now, and I have it on
yeah
Series X, and I'm driving, and there's a row of bushes that's popping in as I'm passing by, and I was like, "What the fuck? This is next gen, and I'm still got
yeah
bushes popping in." Like I
I
don't.
wanted to bring this up too, because I was thinking about this a little bit earlier before we got on. Just in the same sense of like, well, if both companies now have subscription services, and I think like the the mid tier of the PlayStation one is the same price as Game Pass. So I think the reason Sony's going $3 above for the next tier for like all the old games, they just think that they're better than Microsoft. I don't know how else to phrase it. Like, they're just like, we're better, so we can charge more and you can't. I think like it's just like a weird flex move. I don't really have any interest. However, that's not the retro games are not the only feature of that higher tier. They're also going to be launching like 3-hour game trials in which you can try any new game. I think they're launching with like a few of them, and then they're gonna like be adding stuff. So that's pretty cool. I mean, if you're ever not certain about a game, getting to play it for 3 hours is like,
Right.
it's gonna
That's a
give
lot
you
of
a pretty good
time.
idea.
Yeah.
But one of the things that came to my mind was like, I think sometimes it's good to remember that like the we don't reflect our feelings don't reflect the entire industry, like the way the industry works. And like, when if like we're looking at this from the perspective of like, it's not really a big deal to be able to pay for these things. Like, we can afford to pay for a new PlayStation subscription, or you can afford to buy Game Pass every few months or whatever. It is interesting that Sony is doing a monthly option with this, whereas Microsoft, I think, forces you to buy like three. You can't buy a full year of Game Pass, but Sony's going to be offering monthly and yearly. But I was thinking about like, if you're a kid, like if you're younger and you just like either don't have a bank account yet, it's like you can't really be signing up for subscription services. Um, I think there's probably still value in physical games. And like, some people don't like, there are people who they play video games, but they mainly only play like the same couple of games. And so like, maybe they don't want to pay $15 to $20 a month for a subscription if they could just go buy the game physically and own it
Right.
for 60-70 bucks. And then if you're going to buy one or two games a year, like, I think whenever these companies are looking at these things, it's like, you want to appeal to the hardcore fan base, like the people who literally get home from work and immediately start playing games, or like, oh, it's Saturday, I want to make sure I get to play this game, like treat video games the way people treat like movies, TV shows, that kind of stuff. But there's also the casual audience, which makes up a far greater percentage of the actual customers. And like, a lot of the casual audience, they're not buying games on day one. They are probably buying maybe 3 to 4 video games a year, like, you know, big video games, not just like, combing through the store for sales and whatnot. So, you don't, I don't know how you get those people to sign up for this, but I think those people are also the reason why there will always be a market for the physical game, because it's just, I mean, and not to get into like too much, but some people live in areas with really terrible internet. So you literally can't buy a game and then you're going to wait 3 weeks for it to download.
Right.
Not ideal when you could just go out to the mall and like pick up a physical copy and play it immediately.
So I have a couple of points there.
Yeah.
Number one, I didn't realize the extra tier was only $3 more. So it's not a bad. That's not a bad gap.
I think regular PlayStation Plus is like $10 a month or so. Like, yeah, it's like 10 a month, and then if you do yearly, it's like $60 for the year. But it's going to be 10 for the basic tier, 15 for the extra tier, and 17 or 18 for the premium tier. So
I
that's
say
the pricing.
with that, it's one of those. If you want it, another $3 won't kill you. I think Game Pass needs to start doing a yearly option and make it a deal. Because if you bought a 3-month option, it's like $45. So you're not even saving money. It's the same shit as just buying it. I mean, you may be saving on tax. That's about it.
Yeah, maybe.
When
You
it
get a
comes to
decent Black Friday deals when they were like $25 for 3
yeah,
months of Game Pass. That's crazy.
when it comes to those gamers who only buy like one game, like my dad only plays MLB The Show,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was considering buying my Series S off of me, but he was like, he only plays that, so why would he buy the Series S just to buy a digital copy of MLB? And then
Right.
because what he used to do, I don't know, I don't think he can do it anymore. But back when we were in New York, he had a GameStop that he would go to in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And every year he'll buy the show and he'll buy like the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And every year when the new one comes back, all he has to do is give them the game and the insurance information,
Yeah.
and he'll just pay a new insurance and get a brand new next game. And he wanted me to, before we left or whatever, moved up down here. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to call other GameStops and see if they would do it. And I kept telling him, dude, that's not a store policy. Like I don't.
Yeah.
And
Like,
they told me, yeah, that guy did that favor for you when he wasn't supposed to. So he's not gonna buy a digital console for he's not gonna pay the subscription thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, Final thought I want to make about that whole thing about going forward with these companies buying these different developers and putting games on it. As you mentioned, some games that are on Game Pass is on going to be on this PlayStation thing. I think any multiplayer game coming out going forward needs to have crossplay. They all need to have it.
Yeah. It's
You
crazy
know,
that that's not like a more standard thing.
Grand Theft Auto would be great to have crossplay, and as far as I know, it doesn't have crossplay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try Riders Republic against you anytime soon because I'm garbage. I can't even land a backflip in that game. I'm so bad. The worst for me is snowboarding. I can't figure out snowboarding.
Oh,
But
that's where I'm the best, man. Yeah, you don't want this. You don't want this smoke.
so I want to see more crossplay, but also more options for crossplay. We have Frankie has a friend in college who used to play Call of Duty with us, but he had PlayStation. We all had Xbox, and we
Mm-hmm.
had to do in-game chat, and it was a disaster. And if not
Mm,
in-game chat, they want to use Discord, which is also a disaster. Discord
yeah.
sucks. People need to stop pushing it on me. It sucks. Like there needs to be a way to do a better chat session. So I want to see these games have the crossplay, so we can,
Mm,
if you ever like you play on PlayStation, I play on Xbox currently because I can't get a PS5, but we can play a game together or something.
yeah. I think one of the things that makes this a more glaring issue is that some games do it and some games don't.
Yeah,
Like if this was if this was a like dev thing from like Sony and Microsoft that was like, yeah, we just can't figure out how to make it work with the other side. But it's like Riders Republic will have crossplay, WWE 2K won't have crossplay. MLB The Show will have there's an inconsistency of like, okay, so it's possible, but then at the same time, why aren't these other companies
right.
doing it?
There's a really shitty like Call of Duty clone out there. I forgot what it's called, but it's on Switch and it has crossplay to like PC and some other consoles. And I'm like, this piece of shit Call of Duty clone has it, and other games can't do it. Like the fact that Rockstar has not done that
Oh,
is
asking Rockstar to do anything that involves them like fucking getting out of bed is just
yeah.
like no, no.
Because I'm looking at my Game Pass. I think Rocket League has crossplay as well.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, there's so
fighting
much
games need it.
inconsistency with these companies.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat should have it. Injustice, Street
Right.
Fighter. I mean, assuming Street Fighter goes on more than one platform next time, but
Yeah. One of the last things I wanted to get to here because these two services in like a few weeks, I believe the North American version of this new PlayStation subscription is going to launch on June 13th. So about a month away, give or take. And once that happens, get ready to hear nonstop comparisons. Oh, Game Pass has this. Oh, PlayStation Extra has that. I think this is one of the most exciting things to happen to gaming because it's going to create competition. For a really long time, Microsoft has dominated the video game subscription service part of gaming. Now, they not only have a competitor, but their competitor is their biggest competitor. And so every time a new game is announced, every time one of these companies holds a showcase, I think the winner here are gamers, are the fans, because we're gonna, like, Microsoft is gonna have to up Game Pass now, and that's gonna make Sony want to up PlayStation Premium. That's gonna make Microsoft want to up, like, the people that win here are the customers, because competition is good. It brings out the best in these companies, and part of me wonders if they understand like how competitive this is about to get. Because this is not two random companies this is not fucking CNN Plus and Peacock like attempting to launch streaming services. These are the two biggest video game companies in the world that are both about to have kick-ass subscription services.
It's basically
I'm
Kong
excited
versus
to
Godzilla.
see. Yeah, like I'm excited to see the competition this brings out and how each company is like forced or like, really tries to one up each other, because Sony tries to one up Microsoft with exclusives. Microsoft usually turns around and says, well, that's great, but like when we have exclusives, they're free on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Not that that happens very often right now, but like I think it's going to bring out the best in both companies. So from that perspective, I'm excited. I will say one small thing is that prior to seeing this list, I was really close to getting an Xbox just for Game Pass. And like, I wonder how much of this was to prevent people like me from doing something like that, because I didn't have an option on PlayStation. Like, PlayStation Now, kind of lame. Like, PlayStation Plus, 2 free games, okay, they're usually not that good. But now I'm looking at a list that like it's a lot of stuff that Game Pass had that I'm like, oh, I want to try that. I want to try that. It's a lot of stuff PlayStation has that I just didn't want to pay for. And this kind of definitely is going to slow down my interest in getting an Xbox until there really is something big like Starfield, like the next Fable game or Forza or whatever that comes to Xbox only. So that's going to be interesting, but I think the competition is good. And any closing thoughts on your end, buddy?
Yeah, so I think what's gonna need to happen is Sony needs to put their exclusives on the subscription, and that way they could say, well, we have our first our exclusives on day one, and we do it more often than Microsoft. Microsoft's response is, well, we were the top selling console out of your console this past year because we sold more consoles because we released more consoles. So therefore, we have more people who bought our console than you did. We now need to make more exclusives so they can play it. So that's kind of like the tug of war right there.
Yeah.
And I think if Sony really wants to go on the deep end with this, they need to find a way to get more consoles out there, because I'm ready to grab
Yeah.
one, and well, sort of, and they need to start getting these consoles out, because you got God of War possibly not so much releasing this year.
Allegedly.
Yeah, so it's like, get these consoles out so people can play. You I don't know if this subscription is it on PS4 and PS5?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering how many people are going to actually use it on PS4, because they're gonna be like, well, I want this on PS5, I don't have PS5. Whereas Xbox says, hey, you can use it on S and X and One and PC, and
Yeah.
so
It's going to be interesting. I think, things will pick up a little bit more on launch. I'm excited to see what else. Sony's holding back a couple of bangers to announce on like launch night or something. Or maybe they
GTA
announce
5.
one for Japan, then they announce one for America when it launches here. So I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our little bonus emergency podcast episode about PlayStation's attempt to kill Game Pass. as the fanboy wars rage on across the galaxy. And also, unrelated, but if you haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy, fucking play that game. It is so good. It's on Game Pass. It's like dirt cheap. It's like $20 on fucking PlayStation, or just wait till it launches the subscription. Play the game. I played it. Anthony played it. We both think it's awesome. Please play that game. Completely unrelated to this discussion, but yeah, it's pretty
Play
much
it.
all we got for you guys.
All right, we will
Thanks for
catch you
tuning in.
guys.
Oh no, go ahead, man. Yeah.
We're gonna catch you guys on the next one. Be sure to check out our other podcast episodes, both on YouTube
Yeah.
and Anchor, and I guess Spotify as well, right?
And as always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you guys, and we will talk to you in the next one. Peace
Catch you
out.
on the flippity flip.